What's up? It's Juice Beats, back again with another race video. And this one is the Gateway Cup Tour de Francis Park. And we're getting started here. Got a decent clip in here, but you can see we got a lot of guys in front of me here. This is day two. So, the first day didn't quite go, the best that it could have gone with me being by myself, no teammate. And just kind of sitting in the pack there. I did make it to the front at one point in that race, but I didn't hold it there, and kind of got wishy-washed all the way through the peloton there, and kind of finished like mid-pack-ish toward the end. So here we go on the second day. A little bit better rest overnight, a little bit earlier race. So this one is, I believe it was around 3-ish, 3:30-ish, somewhere around there during the day, so a little bit earlier than the later, I think 6 p.m. start that we had the night before. So a little bit quick turnaround for this race, but felt like the legs felt pretty good going into this one as well. And then early on in this race, I really felt like we were chilling. Like we weren't going super fast or anything like that. We were all kind of, I don't know if everybody was a little bit tired, I guess from the day before or what. But it really didn't feel like anybody was wanting to take charge at the front and try to put any digs or anything in. We got a lot of speed going down. This is the back stretch here. Got a lot of speed going down on this side and gained a lot of momentum. But it does have a little bit of a pinch point. I mean, the turns are pretty wide out here. But because you get so much speed going down this and the fanning out of the rest of the peloton here, sometimes it got a little bottlenecked, I guess, from there. And then you've got this short, punchy little hill. It's not, anything super significant. You can see over there about, 2-3% or something like that, that my altimeter is picking up. But yeah, it was short and punchy, but going at it at speed and putting in the watts later on in the race does take a little bit of a toll once things get a little bit faster. Going over some stats in this race, so just like the day before, we averaged right around or close to 29 miles an hour. I think we were just under that, like 28.8, but or I was at least. So, I mean, right there at about 29 miles an hour, but significantly less wattage overall. So my average watts were 251 watts. I put it in a 1400 watt max, somewhere in there. I'm not sure exactly, but put it in a 1400 watt max in there. And then 317 normalized for this race. So I think, overall, some of the peaks and stuff like that, I kind of remember exactly like when those were. So some of the peaks probably peaked my normalized a little bit more, but overall, like my legs didn't feel, overly tired from, putting out, huge surges or anything like that. It was pretty smooth throughout this race. There was no wrecks either that I remember as well. So maybe a couple close calls or something like that, but nothing that I remember. I don't think I saw anybody going over to the pit or anything, and I don't remember anything or anybody going down that was in front of me. Maybe somebody that was there could tell me otherwise, but I didn't particularly catch up, anything on camera for that. So. And if you'll notice, I do have my 360 camera back. Luckily, some nice kids turned it in the day before, and I was able to get it back from the officials right after the race the day before. So got it back on there, and I reinforced it this time. I put some bands around it to keep it nice and steady and keep it from flying off. And it worked, so didn't come off the rest of the weekend. So this race and the next day as well. I'm gonna have to figure out something, I guess, maybe for next year's races. We'll see. But so far this worked pretty well. The only thing that I don't like is, I'm using my out front mount for my Garmin to place the 360 camera at the moment, and then having my Garmin on a separate mount on the stem of my handlebars. I didn't quite like that. I mean, it's fine or whatever. Some people just throw their Garmin in their back pocket and stuff like that. And I don't know. Something you really don't have to look at your stats or anything like that during the race. And I don't really, for the most part, but sometimes during the race, like say, if I go in a breakaway or something like that, I kind of want to pace myself a little bit, and I don't want to go too crazy and tire myself out. So sometimes I like to look down and see where my wattage is, just to get kind of a gauge really quickly, make sure I'm not overly pushing or anything like that. And so that's why I kind of like to have the Garmin there. But other than that, I really don't look at it much. Because usually, you've got the officials calling out the time and how many laps you got and all that stuff. You just got to be, heads up on that and make sure you're looking at that. But really don't have to know, all the other stats and stuff. That's something that I look at after the fact. And, when I'm doing these video breakdowns, I kind of look and see, okay, I put in this much effort here, blah, blah, blah. But you can see, like right now, I'm not doing a ton of effort. We're doing 29 miles an hour. I'm doing 187 watts and then cruising. So I'm doing, barely the lowest low end of my zone 2 maybe at points, and then I'm cruising and just doing some zone 1 stuff as well. So not putting in a ton of effort, getting a lot of draft in this one. You can see the wind direction. So we did have a tailwind going into the start-finish straight. And so what that means here is, going down this backstretch, we did have, a headwind going into our face here, going down this hill, which it really didn't matter. We're going fast enough in this one. I'm probably the biggest guy in this race. And so going downhill is not really a problem, and having a little bit of wind in my face is not really a problem. So that didn't really do much for me. Maybe the smaller guys felt it a little bit more than I did. But also, with the wind like this, being on this left side here on this backstretch going into turn 4, being on this side, get a little bit of shelter from the rest of the peloton. You can see we're like 5-6 deep over here. I can kind of shelter from the wind there, and that also helped me to control my the wattage and save my energy for this race here, and I think that helped me be a lot more efficient. So you'll kind of see me, I guess, through this race, as I go through this, staying on this side a little bit more on this backstretch, and then on the top end after the first turn, getting over to the right a little bit to shelter myself from the wind a little bit as well. So I do that throughout the race here. Here we go, over 22 minutes into the race here. So this is a 55-minute race, obviously same thing as the day before. There's my buddy Chris off to my right. Good wheel to follow. He ended up going down in that very last lap the day before, and he was in really good position, probably for a top 10 finish, and just unfortunate went down. So you can see that little white tape on his left leg there. So he's battling through that. He said he felt fine though, just some gashes or whatever on his leg. But yeah, we've been cruising. Man, I gotta tell you, like, from what I remember in this race, it was pretty much just a really, really fast group ride for us. Like, we were just kind of riding around, going around in these turns, moving, forward a little bit, moving back a little bit, but not really getting, not really going anywhere quite, crazy or anything like that. And, obviously with the movement, you think, okay, maybe there's some things going on at the front, but there really, I don't remember a whole lot going on at the front either. Or maybe I just, from my perspective, there wasn't a whole lot. Guys did try to, go on breakaways and stuff like that, but I think we were just going so fast. And then on this course, it was just so much easier to catch up to those people that it seemed like it almost wasn't worth it to try to go off the front at this point. And like I said, going 29 miles an hour, it's very tough to get off the front unless you have teammates that can help you. You got to get in good with a good group. Obviously, that's going to push the speed, going to push you out. But then, you also have to have teammates that are going to produce that false tempo and slow down the rest of the peloton and help you get, seconds. Because, once this peloton gets going, we end up, flying through this race here. And here we go. So just like I said a little bit earlier, the wind direction. Here I go. I'm positioning myself on the right on this side of the of the course, putting myself in shelter of the wind, saving my watts and being more efficient here. You can see I'm way down there in zone 1 at this point. Heart rate still in check. We're barely in the tempo zone in the heart rate. So nice and easy. And there goes somebody's bottle there. Somebody's Aero bottle, and everybody's complaining like, man, don't have Aero bottles out here. But yeah, somebody slipped their Aero bottle and got run over. Luckily, that didn't turn out worse than it could have been. Running over a bottle, it could have caused a wreck or something like that. But it just burst and all the water splattered out everywhere. All right, we are over 36 minutes into the race here. Fast forwarded a bunch. Going through, about to hit the 4th corner. We've got a few guys going off. It looks like on the front here. You can see where I'm at. I'm in the middle of the peloton. Not even pedaling at this point. Just chilling. Just taking it easy here. Zone 1. It's nice when you're going 32 miles an hour in zone 1, right? Hitting this wind. Got a little bit tailwind going down this back stretch here. You can see I'm just chilling at this point in the race. Like this is kind of how I felt throughout this race, really. There's Max over there in the pink kit, passing me up here, getting by. You can see how bunched up we get a little bit here, going through these turns. So many guys in this race. So this one I think was even bigger than the day 1, which had I think like 90 guys or close to 100. This one had I think about the same, but a few more. Obviously, my teammate was actually in this one, so he wasn't able to make the first day. We'll see him a little bit later in this race. I was kind of obviously, just the way things were playing out in this race, sticking in the middle, staying in the groups. We're still moving pretty fast. Nobody's really taking too much charge at the front, so there was really no point in trying to play the games out there. And I say that like I remember there were some guys that got off the front, but it just the way it felt, like how fast we were going at certain points and how much the peloton was moving, it just felt like, especially on a course this wide too, it just felt like those guys weren't getting away at any point during this race. So didn't feel like it was a huge threat. See, there's guys going down this hill, trying to push it out, but it's like, we're all going really, really fast here. And then we're getting ready to pick it up on this backstretch too, and then have a tailwind. So, how much effort did you want to put into that at this point in the race? It's kind of, to me, it's kind of worthless to put out that kind of effort going down that hill, trying to get away with the speeds that we're going, I guess, in this race. But I don't know, maybe they saw something else that I didn't see. And there we go. There's a Mustang rider out there going to control things. So they obviously had a much bigger presence in this race to be able to, control things. And if guys got off the front, they had guys to to go after it and shut it down. So that's part of why I wasn't going after things here. All right, so just fast forward just a little bit more. We're just about 42 minutes into the race. There's my teammate to the right. There's Grant, and I'm talking to him here, and I'm asking him like when he wants to try to move up. He told me he wanted to move up late, and that's exactly what I was thinking as well. We're both judging how the peloton's moving, and just seeing how everything's moving, and when to move up. We kind of gauged the fact that nothing was really going to happen until the last lap or two. So there's really no point in trying to move up too quickly at this point. The course is wide enough that you can move up when you need to, if you're going to. If you've got the energy and if you've got the wattage to do it, you can wait a little bit longer than normal and move up. So that's exactly what our plan was. We didn't have a plan going into the race, we didn't really get on the course to be able to ride it beforehand. But once we get into the race and once we get going, we can talk a little bit about how the flow is and kind of gauge it from that point. And so that's what I'm doing. We got to stay close to each other somewhat in this race. Towards the end, we're closing down on the last few laps. We're going to try to stay as close as possible and then, try to make our move a little bit late. And you can see that, there's a little bit of a train out there to the left. And we're both talking about it, like, why put in that effort right now? Because we know, I don't know, like, you guys could tell me if you've been in races before like this where you just felt that it was going to come down to the last lap, and I think just after starting these races back in 2022 when I did my first race and going until now, like, I've done enough races to kind of get a feel for kind of how things are going to go sometimes. It's not 100% foolproof, but I think there's a point in the race where you can kind of feel, okay, this is coming down to a sprint, or somebody's going on a breakaway at some point, and you've got to be, watching out for it. So I think that there's something to be said about that, where you can kind of feel what's going to go on in a race. But yeah, let me know in the comments if you feel the same way, if you felt that before, or if you have a different perspective on what you're thinking during the race. All right, so here we go. This is the last lap of the race going in here. So the last 2,000 meters of the race. Everybody is pumping hard. The wattage is up. So this is where I was talking about, the peaks coming from. You can see it almost looks like a different speed from the rest of the race. Like, everybody's really, really punching here. And just like we said, so there's Grant right there just in front of me. I need to get in front of Grant. I need to get in better position so that I can help lead out a little bit better. But he took an outside line there. He's moving. I'm still sitting kind of boxed in a little bit. He was able to kind of move through the guys a little bit better and get to the outside. So I'm trying to move to the outside here, get in better position, and he's maneuvering really well, positioning himself here. But I'm still not out of it. This is a long lap. Like, that was the other thing that in this race that I thought, these laps were really, really long, and really, really, the course was really, really big. So there's a lot of time to make up ground from where I was at. So I think at the moment I'm sitting maybe mid-pack. There's a bunch of guys in front of me. There's probably some lead-out guys from some teams as well. So they may be falling off here, and it looks like, this is Logan right in front of me. He just fell off, and I get pinched right here a little bit. So this is where I kind of had to punch it, and that's where I think my 1400 watt came from. So I really had to punch it out of that turn, which I didn't want to do, because that I'm using up a lot of energy and using up part of my sprint at that point. But there we go. So I try to get on Bratcher's wheel. So there's Bratcher, and then I want to say that's Julian from Milligan. It might be. I'm not sure. But there, you know, I kind of got in front of Grant, and then there he goes. So I got a little bit of you know, a little bit of a lead in front of him, trying to lead him out, but I really had nothing left at this point in the race. Like after coming out of that turn and then putting in that dig, it was just, used a lot of energy going into that last little lap there, and then I kind of cruised at this point and let, you know, several guys clip me at the line right there. So I ended up 28th place. So all those guys that clipped me there, that could have been the difference between a top 20 finish and where I finished at 28. So not terrible, but definitely pretty good, you know, in the top 30 out of, you know, close to 100 guys or whatever it was in this race. So felt pretty good about that. Bratcher ended up 10th in the race, and Grant ended up 8th. So, you know, that was the difference right there at the end. So Grant, you know, getting him into the top 10 in that race, and then Bratcher as well. So I was like right there on Bratcher's wheel for a second, right there as he moved past. And then of course Grant, I think got him closer to the line in the sprint. So those two guys, top 10 finishes, and I'm just outside, you know, right inside the top 30, just behind them after I cruised in there. So not too bad of a race, but there really wasn't a whole lot going on in that race besides just going around in the square for a while. So didn't have, you know, a huge bit of stuff to talk about in this one, but I got one more race in the Gateway Series coming up, and I'll try to get that one to you as soon as possible. But anyway, if you like this video, please like and subscribe, hit that bell icon so you know when I post videos, and I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.